Chosen one. You did not arrive here by chance. You were drawn, summoned, because a sealed page of your prophetic scroll is opening in perfect Kairos timing. Heaven's clock has struck your appointed hour, and what once felt like delay is now being revealed as divine design. Anointed. 1. This moment was written for you before you took your first breath. Chosen one, you are standing at the edge of a destined turning point. What God preserved in silence, what He guarded through seasons of waiting, is now pressing toward manifestation. This is the hour when what was withheld is about to be unveiled, when the not yet begins to tremble under the weight of now. As it is written, there is a time for everything and a season for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1. Anointed one. The vision was not late, it was reserved. For the revelation awaits its appointed time. It will speak and not lie. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3. And suddenly, in His time, He has know He will make it happen. Isaiah chapter 60 verse 22. Chosen one, prepare your heart. Expect alignment. Expect clarity. Expect divine unlocking in your spirit, your identity, and even your circumstances. What you are about to hear is not information. It is activation. Stay present. Stay open. Heaven is speaking now. Chosen one. There is a reason this message is reaching you now. Not yesterday, not 6 months from now. Now. This is not random timing, and it is not coincidence. Heaven is intervening. A sealed portion of your prophetic scroll is being opened in this very Kairos moment, and your spirit already sensed it before your mind could explain it. You have asked the question in the quiet places of your life. Late at night, in moments of prayer, sometimes in frustration, sometimes in exhaustion. Why am I still single? Why does every connection fall apart just when it feels like it might finally work? Why does God keep closing doors I thought were right? Chosen one, hear this clearly. This season has everything to do with who you are and what you were sent here to do. You were not meant to move through life the way others do. You were never designed for shortcuts, surface-level connections, or rushed unions. From the beginning, God marked you. And when God marks someone, He also guards them. What felt like isolation was actually interception. What felt like delay was divine restraint. Heaven has been standing between you and what would have diluted your assignment. I want to speak to you not just as a messenger, but as someone who has walked this road. I know what it feels like to watch others pair off while you remain waiting. I know the temptation to question your worth, to wonder if something is wrong with you, to replay old conversations, and ask yourself if you were too much or not enough. But over time, I learned something that changed everything. Some seasons are not meant to be escaped, they are meant to be understood. Chosen one, your singleness is not a flaw. It is not a gap in your story. It is a training ground, a consecrated space, a hidden chamber where God does His deepest work. While others were being distracted by constant companionship, heaven was building your discernment. While others were merging prematurely, God was separating you for clarity. This is how God works with those carrying weighty assignments. He hides them before He releases them. He refines them before He reveals them. Scripture whispers this truth when it says the vision waits for an appointed time, not because it is slow, but because it is precise. That precision is what has been shaping your life. Think back, chosen one. How many times did you feel a connection only for it to suddenly collapse? How many times did something look right on paper but feel unsettled in your spirit? That wasn't failure. That was divine interruption. God will allow attraction, conversation, even emotional closeness. But if a person cannot walk with you into your next season, heaven will remove them without negotiation. And yes, sometimes that removal hurt. Sometimes it left questions unanswered. Sometimes it felt abrupt and unfair. But protection rarely announces itself. It simply acts. Your spirit carries a frequency that not everyone can handle. Your presence shifts atmospheres even when you are unaware of it. That is why the wrong connections felt draining. That is why you felt tired after certain interactions. That is why some people were drawn to you for the wrong reasons, to consume, to heal themselves, to borrow your light without honoring its source. God saw that. And because you are chosen, He stepped in. This season has been about sharpening your spiritual sight, teaching you to see beyond charm, chemistry, and surface compatibility, teaching you to listen to the quiet checks in your spirit instead of the loud pull of loneliness, teaching you the difference between someone who likes you and someone who is assigned to you. And let me say this plainly. Chosen one, your future partner, is not just meant to love you. They are meant to protect what God placed inside you. That kind of union requires maturity, healing, and alignment on both sides. Anything less would have cost you your peace and possibly your purpose. So if you felt pulled away from dating, uninterested in shallow connections, dissatisfied with almost right, that is not dysfunction. That is discernment activating. That is heaven clearing the noise so you can hear God clearly again. You are not behind. You are on schedule, heaven's schedule. And this part of your story, as uncomfortable as it has been, is laying the foundation for everything that comes next. In the next part, I'm going to take you deeper into why God has been guarding your energy so fiercely and how your solitude has been acting as a spiritual shield you didn't even realize you were carrying. Chosen one. There is a reason your energy has been guarded so fiercely, even when you didn't understand it. You are not just living a human life. You are carrying spiritual substance. Your words carry weight. Your presence releases peace or exposes unrest. And because of that, not everyone is permitted access to you. God has been protecting you from connections that would have siphoned your strength long before you realized what was happening. What you felt as exhaustion after certain relationships was not emotional weakness, it was spiritual depletion. Heaven saw the cost before you ever did. I learned this the hard way. There were seasons when I felt drained, confused, and spiritually foggy, even though nothing looked wrong on the surface. Only later did I understand that some people were attached to me, not out of alignment, but out of need. They were feeding on light they had not cultivated themselves. Chosen one relationships are not neutral. Every interaction is an exchange. Every bond forms a bridge. And God will never allow His anointed vessel to remain connected to someone who leaks what heaven is pouring in. This is why some people disappeared without explanation. This is why certain connections ended suddenly, without closure, without logic, and without your consent. It wasn't punishment. It was rescue. God removed what you were too compassionate to release on your own. And yes, sometimes it felt harsh. Sometimes it felt lonely. But loneliness is temporary. Contamination can be permanent. God chose your future over your comfort. You may have noticed that you are unusually sensitive to environments, conversations, and emotional undercurrents. Gossip feels heavy. Negativity drains you faster than others. Surface-level interactions leave you empty instead of energized. That is not a flaw in your personality. That is discernment maturing. That is spiritual radar coming online. God has been teaching you how to guard your inner gates, because what flows through you is meant to reach others intact, not diluted. Chosen one intimacy creates bonds deeper than memory. It forges soul connections that can cloud judgment, distort spiritual hearing, and anchor you to seasons you have already outgrown. God will not allow you to form ties that delay your destiny. That invisible barrier you felt when trying to move certain relationships forward was not rejection. It was divine restriction. Heaven placed guards at the threshold of your life, and not everyone passed the inspection. This level of protection is rare. Many people are free to make choices that slowly unravel their calling. You are not. When a connection threatens your assignment, God intervenes. That may have reduced your options, but it preserved your clarity. And clarity is priceless when your purpose is costly. Your energy fuels your mission. Every prayer you pray, every word you speak, every act of obedience draws from that reservoir. If the wrong people had remained, you would have entered your next season depleted, confused, and discouraged. God refused to let that happen. He taught you how to sit with yourself, how to hear Him without interference, how to stand strong without leaning on another human for validation. There were moments when you felt invisible, overlooked, or hidden. But hiding is not abandonment, it is strategy. God hid you from those who would mishandle your heart, misuse your trust, or pull you back into cycles you were born to break. Every closed door was armor. Every unanswered message was mercy. Every ending was a layer of protection you didn't know you needed at the time. Now you are beginning to see it. The patterns, the timing, the invisible hand that kept redirecting your steps. And as awareness grows, so does gratitude. You are still standing, still sensitive, still clear, still aligned. Not because life was easy, but because heaven was intentional. Chosen one. Your solitude preserved your anointing. Your singleness protected your fire. And the same God who shielded you in silence is preparing to trust you with more. You are not empty. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are intact. And that is exactly how heaven intended it to be. This season shaped strength, clarity, patience, discernment, courage, faith, resilience, wisdom, depth, authority. Chosen one. This season has not only been about protection or delay, it has been about refinement at the deepest level of your being. Refinement is the part of the process that feels the most confusing because it does not always come with visible progress. There are no milestones to post, no obvious breakthroughs to celebrate, and often no applause from others. Yet this is where God does His most irreversible work. Refinement is where He reshapes the inner structure of your soul so that when the weight of blessing, influence, or covenant arrives, you do not fracture under it. You were never meant to simply arrive at your destiny. You were meant to endure within it. There were moments in this single season when silence felt louder than any rejection, when unanswered prayers felt heavier than closed doors, when you wondered if God was still near, or if you had somehow missed Him. But solitude has a way of stripping away illusion. Without the distraction of a partner's presence, without the emotional buffering of constant companionship, God brought you face to face with what still needed healing. Not to shame you, but to free you. Old insecurities surfaced. Patterns of self-doubt revealed themselves. Hidden fears about abandonment, worth, or failure rose to the surface. These were not signs that you were broken. They were signs that God trusted you enough to heal what others never confronted. Chosen one. I know this because I have lived it. There were seasons when I thought I was strong, only to discover how much of that strength was actually avoidance. I stayed busy, productive, even spiritual, but God slowed everything down until I could no longer outrun myself. That is what refinement does. It corners you gently, lovingly, until you stop performing and start surrendering. And surrender is where real transformation begins. This is why singleness became such a powerful tool in God's hands. Without someone else's emotions, expectations, or needs constantly in your space, you learn to hear God clearly. You learn to sit with discomfort instead of numbing it. You learn to pray without demanding timelines. You learn to trust without visible evidence. These lessons cannot be learned in comfort. They are learned in waiting, in stillness, in seasons where faith must stand on its own legs. Scripture often speaks of wilderness seasons not as punishment, but as preparation. The wilderness is where identity is clarified and dependency is shifted. David did not learn how to rule while wearing a crown. He learned it while tending sheep. Moses did not discover humility in Pharaoh's palace. He discovered it in obscurity. Even Jesus withdrew into solitude before stepping into public ministry. In every case, isolation was not an interruption of purpose, it was the incubator for it. In the same way, your single season has been an incubator for maturity, discernment, and emotional stability. One of the most critical outcomes of this refinement has been emotional maturity. You learned how to regulate instead of react, how to pause instead of panic, how to sit with disappointment without letting it redefine you. Relationships, especially those ordained by God, require this level of maturity. Without it, even divine connections collapse under pressure. God was not delaying love. He was ensuring you could sustain it. Your standards rising during this season is not pride, it is clarity. When you know who you are and what you carry, you stop entertaining inconsistency. You stop romanticizing potential. You stop confusing attention with assignment. God has been cleansing your desires so that you no longer crave what He never intended to give you. He has been teaching you to recognize alignment over attraction, peace over intensity, and depth over excitement. This refinement protects your future more than any answered prayer ever could. There were days when you felt tired of being strong, days when comparison crept in quietly and whispered lies about being left behind. God saw those days. He saw the tears you wiped away alone. He heard the prayers you could barely finish, and still He continued the work, not because He was withholding joy, but because He was building endurance. He refuses to release you prematurely because He knows the cost of your calling. One day, chosen one, you will look back at this season and realize it was the turning point. Not because your relationship status changed, but because your inner world did. The person you are becoming now is capable of carrying peace, love, influence, and responsibility without losing yourself. This season did not weaken you, it strengthened you in ways comfort never could. Refinement may have felt slow, but it has been thorough. And what God finishes, He finishes well. Chosen one, beyond refinement. This season has carried an assignment that reaches far beyond your own life. God has been positioning you as a breaker of generational cycles, not merely a participant within them. Your singleness has given you something rare: clarity. Clarity to see patterns others accepted as normal. Clarity to question behaviors that were passed down without reflection. Clarity to recognize that some struggles did not begin with you, but they are meant to end with you. You did not imagine the discomfort you felt when observing certain relationship dynamics in your family or community. That unease was revelation. God was opening your eyes to cycles of broken trust, emotional neglect, instability control, or compromise that had quietly repeated for years. Many people normalize these patterns because they have never known anything else. But you could not. Something in your spirit resisted it. That resistance was not rebellion, it was calling. Being single gave you the space to confront wounds you did not create, but still carried. Pain inherited through environment, upbringing, and unspoken expectations began surfacing for healing. This type of healing requires focus. It cannot be rushed, multitasked, or distracted by emotional dependency. God needed your attention because generational work demands intentionality. Before he could build something new through you, the old had to be fully dismantled. You may have wondered why certain people who seemed good never fully connected with you, why relationships that looked healthy on the surface never progressed. The truth is, God saw beneath what you could see. He saw seeds of old cycles that could have taken root if allowed access. Attachment at the wrong time would have reintroduced patterns he was actively removing. What felt like missed opportunity was divine prevention. Breaking generational cycles is not primarily about choosing the right partner. It is about becoming a healed person. God is shaping you so that when covenant comes, it becomes a new beginning rather than a continuation of past dysfunction. Your future relationship is meant to be a reset point, not a replay. That requires inner healing before external union. This is also why warfare around your love life has felt intense. The enemy resists generational freedom because once a cycle is broken, it loses authority permanently. Every delay, every rejection, every heartbreak that redirected you back to God was dismantling chains that held others captive. What felt personal was actually systemic. Your obedience has been doing work you may never fully see. Chosen one, you are not behind, you are ahead. Ahead because you refuse to settle for familiarity disguised as love. Ahead because you allowed God to go deep instead of fast. Ahead because your healing is becoming inheritance for those who come after you. The boundaries you learn to enforce will protect future generations. The emotional stability you cultivated will become a standard. The peace you choose will redefine normal for your lineage. Your singleness has been laying a foundation strong enough to support legacy. God kept you single, not to isolate you, but to insulate what he is building through you. What is being formed now must last not just for a season, but for generations. This is not about absence, it is about impact, and the work happening beneath the surface is far greater than what could have happened if you rushed ahead. Chosen one this season has been holy ground. Painful at times, yes, but sacred. And the fruit of it will speak louder than the struggle ever did. Chosen one. There is another layer to this season that often goes unnoticed, and it has to do with assignments that require solitude. Not because relationships are bad, but because some callings are too precise, too time-sensitive, and too sacred to be birthed in noise. God has been asking for your undivided attention, not to deprive you, but to align you. This single season has been the environment required for ideas, revelations, strategies, and inner shifts that could not have emerged if your focus was split. Some things can only be heard when the room is quiet. You may have noticed that during this time, your inner world became louder while the external world faded. Thoughts deepened. Questions became more meaningful. Desires clarified. You began sensing that your life was meant for more than simply building comfort or companionship. There were moments when inspiration struck unexpectedly, moments of clarity during prayer, moments when ideas arrived fully formed, as if they had been waiting for you to slow down enough to receive them. That is not coincidence. That is assignment activation. I have seen this pattern repeatedly, not just in scripture, but in real life. People who carry messages, movements, or solutions are often hidden before they are heard. Their most productive seasons often look unproductive from the outside. They're misunderstood, questioned, and sometimes pitied. Yet internally, something is being assembled piece by piece. God is strategic. He does not rush what must be sustained. Chosen one. This is why your solitude has felt intentional, not accidental. God has been clearing unnecessary voices so you can learn to recognize His voice distinctly. When too many opinions surround you, it becomes difficult to discern direction. In the quiet, discernment sharpens. You begin to recognize the difference between impulse and instruction, between desire and divine prompting. This sensitivity will be essential later, especially when decisions affect not only you, but others connected to your future. Some of the assignments you carry require deep spiritual discipline, prayer that is not rushed, study that is not superficial, obedience that is not negotiated. These disciplines are difficult to maintain when emotional energy is constantly being poured outward. Right now, God has been drawing your energy inward, not to isolate you, but to fortify you. He has been teaching you how to move without approval, how to trust without reassurance, how to act without consensus. That kind of confidence can only be developed when you learn to stand alone with God. There may have been moments when you felt restless, sensing movement ahead, but not knowing what it looked like yet. That restlessness is often the tension between preparation and release. God was building flexibility into you, teaching you how to pivot quickly, how to obey promptly, how to move when He says move without needing to explain yourself to everyone around you. Some assignments require mobility, rapid response, and total trust. Relationship obligations too early could have complicated obedience. This season has also taught you to rely on God as your primary source. Without a partner to lean on emotionally, financially, or mentally, you learned how to lean fully on Him. You learned that He provides clarity when confusion arises, comfort when loneliness presses in, and strength when motivation fades. This independence does not make you less relational. It makes you more stable. When partnership comes, it will be from strength, not need. For some of you, this solitude has not only been for your sake, but for the sake of the person you will one day meet. God has been working on them as well, shaping their character, healing their wounds, aligning their priorities. If you had come together too early, unfinished work on either side could have created unnecessary strain. Time apart has been allowing both of you to complete personal assignments before stepping into shared ones. This season has not been empty. It has been full of unseen labor, and one day you will recognize that what was built here could not have been built anywhere else. The quiet nights, the unanswered questions, the moments of deep reflection were not wasted. They were the soil where purpose took root and began to grow. Chosen one. One of the greatest truths you must settle in your spirit is this: God's timing does not operate on human urgency. It operates on divine precision. If He has kept you single this long, it is not because He forgot you or overlooked your desire for companionship. It is because timing matters as much as intention. Kingdom unions are not simply about love. They are about alignment, readiness, and purpose converging at the same moment. It is natural to feel impatient when your heart is ready, but your season has not shifted yet. You may look around and see others moving forward while you feel stationary. But heaven does not measure progress the way humans do. God has been synchronizing your life with another life you may not even know yet. He has been aligning circumstances, healing histories, and shaping hearts so that when paths cross it will not be chaotic or confusing, but peaceful and clear. I have seen what happens when the right people meet at the wrong time. Love alone cannot sustain a calling that requires maturity, discipline, and shared vision. Without preparation, connection becomes strain. God has been protecting you from that outcome. Delay has been mercy, not denial. You are not waiting for a person, you are waiting for a season. Seasons are ordained, and they cannot be rushed without consequence. Just as fruit ripens in its own time, so does covenant. If harvested too early, it lacks sweetness. God is ensuring that when your season shifts, what comes will be rich, stable, and lasting. During this waiting, He has been shielding you from counterfeits. People who looked promising but were sent to distract rather than align. This is why closeness did not develop easily with certain individuals. God was guarding the integrity of your future. Staying close to Him in this season has been essential because stepping into relationships He did not ordain would have created detours you did not need. Prayer during this time has not been wasted. Every prayer you whispered for your future partner has been building connection before meeting. You have been interceding without realizing it. When the appointed time arrives, familiarity will not feel strange. Peace will confirm what attraction alone never could. There will come a moment when clarity replaces confusion, when unanswered questions make sense, when tears find their reason. You will see that God was not making you wait to frustrate you, but to perfect the blessing. Signs of transition may already be appearing: deeper peace, clearer purpose, doors opening in alignment with your calling. These are whispers, not commands. Invitations, not pressure. When the right person arrives in God's timing, you will not have to lose yourself to keep them. You will not have to shrink, compromise, or mute your calling. They will recognize your light and protect it. Together, your union will reflect purpose, not just affection. Until that moment, stand firm. Continue building, healing, growing, and trusting. Your patience is not in vain. Every day of obedience is sowing into your future. God's promise is steady and His timing is flawless. This season is not holding you back. It is positioning you precisely where you need to be. Chosen. 1. Now we must talk about stewardship, because every sacred season comes with responsibility. God did not entrust you with this time of singleness so you could merely survive it. He entrusted it to you so you could steward it. Stewardship is what determines whether preparation becomes promotion or whether waiting becomes wasted. Many people endure seasons without extracting wisdom from them, but you were never meant to drift. You were meant to grow intentionally, deliberately, and with reverence for what God is forming within you. This season has been an invitation to deepen your relationship with God beyond routine and obligation. Without the emotional pull of a romantic relationship, your spirit has had more room to listen, to sit, and to commune. Prayer has shifted from asking to aligning. Scripture has moved from information to revelation. You have learned how to let God become your source of comfort, affirmation, and direction, rather than outsourcing those needs to another person. This does not make you less capable of love. It makes you capable of loving without losing yourself. I want to speak honestly here. There were moments when it would have been easier to distract yourself than to do the inner work, easier to entertain attention than to confront healing, easier to chase potential than to build purpose. But you chose differently, sometimes consciously, sometimes because God removed the option altogether. Either way, you stayed, and staying is often the hardest form of obedience. Stewardship in this season has also meant discovering who you are, apart from relationship identity. You began asking deeper questions. What am I here to build? What burdens has God placed on my heart? What gifts keep resurfacing no matter how much I ignore them? Many people wait for a partner to activate purpose, but God has been teaching you that purpose precedes partnership. You are becoming someone before you meet someone. This is also the season where healing has taken center stage. Not surface healing, but deep, uncomfortable honesty with God about wounds you carried quietly. Betrayals that shaped your trust. Rejections that shaped your self-talk. Disappointments that shaped your expectations. You allowed God to touch places you once protected. You forgave without always receiving apologies. You released bitterness even when it felt justified. That work matters more than you realize because unhealed pain always leaks into future relationships. Chosen. One guarding your purity during this season has not been about restriction. It has been about preservation, purity of thought, purity of intention, purity of alignment. You have been learning to be mindful of what you consume, who you allow into your inner circle, and what environments you place yourself in. Not because you are fragile, but because you are valuable. Preservation is wisdom when the cargo is precious. Even practical areas of life have been part of your stewardship. Financial habits, discipline, health, emotional regulation. God has been teaching you to manage what you already have so you are ready for what He will add. Stability built now becomes security later. Order cultivated now becomes peace later. Nothing in this season has been random. Community has also mattered more than you may have realized. Not community as a replacement for romance, but as reinforcement for faith. God has been surrounding you with voices that sharpen rather than drain, encourage rather than compete and hold you accountable rather than enable compromise. Learning to build healthy, non-romantic relationships has been part of preparing you for covenant. And perhaps the greatest lesson of stewardship has been contentment, not resignation, not giving up, but learning to find joy in God regardless of season. Contentment breaks the grip of desperation. It frees you from clinging. It allows you to enter future relationships from abundance rather than fear. That alone changes everything. Chosen one. This season has not been idle time. It has been divine investment. Every intentional choice you have made is compounding. You are becoming someone who can sustain what you once only prayed for. Chosen one. As this message continues to unfold in your spirit, I want you to hear this clearly. Your story has never been on pause. It has been progressing beneath the surface in ways that will soon become undeniable. God has been building foundation before structure roots, before fruit depth, before visibility. Many rush into relationships, platforms, and influence without this foundation and spend years repairing what could have been prevented. You have been doing the work first. There is a shift coming, but it is not driven by pressure or panic. It is driven by peace. When God transitions a season, He does not rush you. He confirms you. You may already be noticing signs, a deeper clarity about who you are, a calm acceptance of your current season rather than frustration with it. Doors opening that align with your calling rather than distract from it. These are not coincidences. They are indicators that preparation has been taking hold. For some, this message is confirmation that the waiting season is nearing completion. For others, It is reassurance that God is still working and that staying yielded will only strengthen the outcome. Neither position is inferior. Both are purposeful. What matters is that you remain aligned rather than anxious. The partner God is preparing for you is not just someone who will love you emotionally. They will understand your calling, respect your boundaries, and honor the work God has done in you. They will not compete with your purpose or ask you to shrink for comfort. They will recognize your light and protect it. This kind of union does not require striving. It arrives with clarity. When the appointed time comes, you will not need to ask whether it is right. Peace will testify. Alignment will confirm. You will not lose yourself to keep them, and you will not compromise obedience to sustain connection. Love will flow alongside purpose, not against it. Until that moment, continue doing what you have been doing. Guard your heart. Stay close to God. Build what He placed in your hands. Heal where He invites you to heal. Trust what you cannot yet see. Every act of obedience is a seed. Every surrendered day is investment, and the harvest will justify the waiting. Chosen one. Your patience has not been wasted. Your tears have not been ignored. Your obedience has not been overlooked. God has been present in every quiet moment, every lonely night, every unanswered question. He has been preparing you not just for relationship, but for destiny. Stand firm. Refuse to settle. Keep your eyes on God, not the calendar, not comparison, not pressure. Your journey is unique, and it will unfold in a way that brings glory to God and peace to your spirit. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared with precision. And when you look back one day, you will understand that every second of this season was necessary, not to delay you, but to align you, not to withhold joy, but to multiply it. You are not waiting in vain. You are being positioned for what is next. Chosen one. There is a sacred recalibration happening inside you right now, even if you cannot fully articulate it. This is the stage where obedience becomes quiet and internal, where God is no longer correcting behavior as much as He is reshaping desire. You are not being driven by urgency the way you once were. You are no longer reacting from loneliness, comparison, or fear of missing out. Something deeper has settled into your spirit. A stillness, a knowing, a grounded awareness that you are being held in timing that cannot be rushed or manipulated. This is not passivity. This is trust that has been earned through endurance. You may notice that what once triggered anxiety now barely moves you. Conversations that used to stir longing now feel neutral. Opportunities that once felt tempting now feel misaligned. This is not numbness. This is discernment becoming embodied. God has been rewiring your internal compass so thoroughly that even your emotional responses are beginning to align with truth instead of impulse. You are learning to wait without tension, to hope without desperation, to desire without idolizing. That balance is rare, and it is powerful. I want to be honest with you here because this is where many people misunderstand what is happening. They think peace means nothing is coming. They think silence means stagnation. But in the spiritual realm, stillness often precedes movement. Just as an arrow is pulled back before release, you have been drawn inward so that when God moves you forward, it will be with clarity and force. The tension you once felt has been replaced with readiness. That is not accidental. Chosen one. You are also learning something essential about identity. You are discovering who you are when no one is choosing you romantically, affirming you emotionally, or validating you relationally. And what you are finding is that you still exist fully. You still matter. you still have purpose. This revelation dismantles insecurity at its root. When identity is no longer dependent on being wanted, it becomes unshakable. This is the kind of identity that does not beg for love or tolerate disrespect. It attracts alignment naturally. There was a time when being single felt like something you needed to explain, justify, or defend. You felt the weight of other people's questions, assumptions, and projections. Now something has shifted. You no longer feel the need to explain your process to people who are not assigned to understand it. You have learned that peace does not require consensus. Approval is no longer your compass. Obedience is. That shift alone marks spiritual maturity. God has also been teaching you how to sit with unanswered questions without allowing them to erode faith. You no longer demand immediate clarity. You no longer panic when timelines are unclear. You have learned that not knowing everything does not mean nothing is happening. This is one of the deepest forms of trust. It is faith that does not need constant reassurance to remain intact. And this level of faith is required for the next season of your life. You may have noticed that your prayers sound different now. They are less frantic, less transactional. They are no longer driven by when and why, but by prepare me and align me. That is growth. That is surrender that has matured beyond bargaining. You are no longer asking God to rush the process. You are asking Him to complete it. That posture changes outcomes. Chosen. One another quiet work happening in this season is detachment. Not apathy, but holy detachment. You are learning how to desire things without being controlled by them. You are learning how to hope without clinging. You are learning how to release outcomes into God's hands without losing passion. This detachment protects you from being pulled off course by emotions that once ruled your decisions. It gives you freedom to choose from wisdom rather than need. There were times earlier in your journey when you would have accepted half alignment simply to avoid being alone. That version of you no longer exists, not because you became harder, but because you became clearer. Clarity creates boundaries effortlessly. You no longer have to force yourself to walk away from what is wrong. It simply no longer fits. That is transformation at work. God has also been restoring your sense of timing internally. You are no longer rushing conversations, pushing connections, or forcing momentum. You allow things to unfold at their own pace. This patience is not passive, it is watchful, it is aware, it is grounded. You are learning how to move when God moves, not when emotions spike. This ability will protect you from counterfeits that rely on urgency rather than peace. There is also a strengthening happening in your spirit that you may not recognize yet. You are becoming resilient without becoming guarded. Soft without being naive, open without being unprotected. This balance is not natural, it is learned through seasons like this. God has been teaching you how to keep your heart open without leaving it exposed. That is wisdom born from experience, not theory. You may still have moments of longing. That is human. Desire does not disappear just because faith matures. But now, longing no longer controls you. It informs you without consuming you. It reminds you of what you value without making you chase substitutes. That is healthy desire. That is desire under discipline, not suppression. Chosen one. Something else is happening that may surprise you. You are becoming more selective with your time, your energy, and your attention. You no longer feel obligated to engage in everything or with everyone. This is not isolation, it is stewardship. You are honoring your limits because you now understand your capacity. You know that energy is finite and that what you pour into must align with what you are building. This discernment will serve you deeply in the seasons ahead. God has been teaching you how to listen to your body, your emotions, and your spirit as indicators rather than obstacles. Fatigue now signals rest instead of failure. Discomfort signals misalignment instead of weakness. Peace signals confirmation instead of complacency. You are learning to read yourself accurately. That self-awareness is part of preparation, not distraction. You may also be noticing a shift in how you relate to others who are partnered or married. There is less envy and more understanding, less comparison and more compassion. You see that every season carries its own challenges and that no stage of life is immune to growth. This maturity allows you to celebrate others without diminishing yourself. It frees you from internal competition. That freedom is priceless. Chosen one. I want you to understand something important here. God has not been preparing you merely to enter a relationship. He has been preparing you to sustain peace, purpose, and obedience, regardless of relationship status. That is why this season has been so thorough. He is building something in you that will remain even when circumstances change. When love comes, it will add to your life, not stabilize it. Stability has already been cultivated within you. You are closer than you think to the end of this chapter, not because time has passed, but because work has been done. God does not transition seasons based on clocks. He transitions them based on readiness. And readiness is not about perfection, it is about posture. Your posture has shifted, your grip has loosened, your trust has deepened. That matters more than you know. Even now, heaven is observing how you steward quiet days, ordinary routines, and moments that feel uneventful. Faithfulness in small things is never overlooked. The way you choose patience over panic, obedience over compromise, and peace over pressure is shaping outcomes you have not yet seen. Chosen one. This season has been building muscle memory in your spirit. When the next season arrives, you will not scramble. You will not lose yourself. You will not abandon wisdom for excitement. You will recognize alignment because you have learned discernment. You will recognize peace because you have lived without it and know its value. You will recognize timing because you have learned how God speaks to you personally. You are not waiting in limbo. You are standing on holy ground. And every step you have taken in trust has been recorded, honored, and woven into what comes next. Stay present. Stay yielded, stay anchored. What God is doing in you now is preparing you not just for what you want, but for what He promised. Chosen one, as this season continues to settle into your spirit, there is one final alignment God has been forming quietly beneath everything else. Trust without conditions. Not trust that depends on outcomes, timelines, or visible signs, but trust rooted in knowing who God is, regardless of what He is doing. This kind of trust does not demand proof before obedience. It does not bargain for reassurance. It rests. And that rest is not passive. It is powerful. You may not realize it yet, but you are no longer striving the way you once did. You are no longer trying to force answers, accelerate processes, or make something happen simply to relieve discomfort. That striving has been replaced by a steadiness that only comes when surrender is genuine. This is the posture heaven has been waiting for. Not perfection, not certainty, but availability without resistance. There was a time when waiting felt like holding your breath. Now it feels more like breathing deeply. You still desire. You still hope, but those desires no longer control your emotional state. They no longer dictate your decisions. You have learned how to place them in God's hands without taking them back when impatience whispers. That is growth few people reach, and it matters more than you understand. Chosen. Chaturan. 1. Chaturan. God has been watching how you respond when nothing dramatic happens, when days feel ordinary, when progress feels subtle, when prayers are quiet instead of urgent. These moments reveal maturity more than breakthrough ever could. Anyone can trust God when miracles are loud. It takes depth to trust Him when He is silent. And you have learned how to do that. You may still have questions, but they no longer shake your foundation. You may still feel moments of longing, but they no longer destabilize your peace. This balance is evidence that your identity is anchored, not floating. You are no longer waiting to become someone once circumstances change. You are already someone regardless of circumstances. That shift changes everything. There is also a gentle courage rising in you, not loud confidence, not reckless boldness, but quiet certainty. You trust your discernment now. You trust your ability to pause. You trust your capacity to walk away from what feels wrong without needing to explain yourself. That courage will protect you in future seasons when decisions carry more weight and affect more people. Chosen. 1. Understand this. God has not been preparing you to be chosen by someone else. He has been preparing you to choose well, to recognize alignment, to honor peace, to value timing, to protect what He has entrusted to you. When the next season arrives, you will not be swept up by emotion. You will move with wisdom, clarity, and confidence. This season has stripped urgency from your spirit and replaced it with readiness. You are no longer asking, when will it happen? You are asking, am I aligned? That question keeps you grounded. It keeps you listening. It keeps you close to God's voice rather than distracted by external pressure. Chosen. 1. You are not standing at the edge of loss. You are standing at the edge of completion. Completion of a cycle. Completion of preparation. Completion of inner work that ensures what comes next will not undo what God has built. You are not being held back. You are being established. Stay faithful in the ordinary. Stay obedient in the quiet. Stay soft in heart and firm in boundaries. God is not finished. And when the next chapter opens, you will step into it without fear, without confusion, and without regret, knowing that this season did not delay you. It defined you. Chosen one, as you stand where you are now, there is an invitation being extended to you that is quieter than the others, yet just as significant. It is the invitation to remain faithful when clarity has already arrived, but manifestation has not yet followed. This is the space where many grow restless, but you are learning how to remain anchored. You are discovering that faith is not proven by how loudly you declare it, but by how steadily you walk when nothing seems to be changing on the outside. You have reached a point where your spirit recognizes alignment, even without evidence. You no longer need dramatic confirmation to stay obedient. You no longer need emotional highs to remain committed. That is not loss of passion, it is depth of conviction. God has been forming a faith in you that does not fluctuate with circumstances. This is the kind of faith that sustains legacy, not just seasons. There were times earlier in your journey when you believed that once you understood the reason for waiting, the waiting itself would end. But now you see that understanding was never the finish line. Maturity was. You were not meant to simply tolerate delay. You were meant to grow into stability, and that stability is now evident in the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, and the way you choose peace over urgency. Chosen one. You have learned how to sit with God without agenda, to pray without demanding outcomes, to listen without rushing to interpret. That intimacy is rare. Many people approach God only when they want something to change. You have learned how to remain close even when nothing appears to be moving. That closeness has shaped you more than answers ever could. There is also a deepening humility forming in you, not the kind that shrinks you, but the kind that keeps you grounded. You understand now that influence, love, and favor are safest when they are carried by someone who does not need to prove themselves. God has been removing the urge to explain your journey, defend your timing, or justify your process. Silence has become a form of strength. Trust has become your response. You may notice that your discernment has become sharper yet gentler. You no longer feel the need to judge what is misaligned. You simply step away from it. You no longer feel pressure to correct others' paths. You focus on walking your own with integrity. This restraint is wisdom. It protects your peace and preserves your energy for what truly matters. Chosen one. The patience you are practicing now is not passive, it is active surrender. It is choosing obedience daily without knowing exactly how the next chapter will unfold. It is remaining open without becoming vulnerable to pressure. It is staying hopeful without clinging. This balance is what allows blessings to arrive without becoming burdens. God has also been teaching you how to recognize His voice within yourself. You trust your internal check now. You pause when something feels rushed. You move when peace confirms. This sensitivity will be essential as your life becomes more interconnected with others. The decisions ahead will carry weight, and God has ensured you are prepared to carry it. There is a quiet confidence growing in you, one that does not announce itself, but is deeply felt. You're no longer afraid of waiting because you know waiting does not diminish you. You are no longer afraid of being alone because you know solitude did not break you. These fears no longer have authority over your choices. Chosen one. This chapter has taught you how to remain faithful without reward, obedient without recognition, and hopeful without certainty. That is not wasted time. That is spiritual strength being built layer by layer. When the next season arrives, you will not scramble or second guess. You will recognize it because you have learned how God prepares you before He moves you. Stay steady, stay yielded, stay present. The work being completed now is ensuring that what comes next will not require you to abandon who you have become. This season did not simply prepare your future, it protected your soul. Chosen one, as this final portion of the message unfolds, I want you to pause internally and recognize where you truly are now. You are no longer in the phase of questioning whether God sees you. You are no longer wrestling with whether this season has meaning. You have crossed into a quieter, deeper place where understanding has settled into trust. This is not the loud joy of arrival, but the steady peace of knowing you are held. And that peace is not accidental. It is the evidence that God has completed a significant work within you. You may not feel dramatically different from one day to the next, but when you look back over the journey, you can see how much has shifted. The urgency that once ruled your thoughts has loosened its grip. The fear of being left behind no longer dictates your decisions. You have learned how to let life unfold without constantly bracing for disappointment. That alone is transformation. Many people enter relationships still driven by fear. You will not. You have been freed from that weight before love ever arrives. Chosen one. This season has redefined how you see God. You no longer view Him as distant or withholding. You have experienced His closeness in quiet moments, His guidance in subtle redirections, His care in doors that closed even when you begged Him to keep them open. You understand now that unanswered prayers were not ignored prayers. They were prayers answered in a different form. Protection instead of permission. Preparation instead of immediacy. You have also learned how to trust God with your desires without making them demands. You still desire companionship. You still long for connection, but those longings no longer feel desperate or consuming. They sit in your heart without owning it. This is where desire becomes safe. This is where love can enter without becoming an idol. God has been teaching you how to want without clinging, how to hope without striving, how to wait without resentment. There is a strength in you now that did not come from achievement or affirmation. It came from endurance, from staying when it would have been easier to escape, from choosing obedience when no one was watching, from learning how to comfort yourself in God instead of running to substitutes. This strength is quiet, but it is unshakable. It is the kind of strength that sustains healthy love instead of consuming it. Chosen one. One of the greatest gifts of this season is discernment that feels natural rather than forced. You no longer have to convince yourself when something is wrong. Your spirit recognizes misalignment quickly and calmly. There is no inner chaos, no overthinking, no bargaining. You simply know. That clarity will protect you from relationships that look good but are wrong, from opportunities that promise growth but cost peace, from paths that seem exciting but lead away from purpose. You have also become more honest with yourself. You no longer hide from uncomfortable truths. You no longer pretend wounds do not exist. You face what needs healing with courage rather than avoidance. This honesty is what allows love to be healthy when it comes. Love cannot thrive in denial. God has removed denial from your inner life before introducing partnership into your outer life. Chosen one. You may not realize how rare this preparation is. Many people enter relationships hoping love will heal what they refuse to face. You have allowed God to do the healing first. That choice changes everything. It means your future relationship will not be asked to fix you, complete you, or save you. It will be invited to walk alongside you, not carry you. That is how partnership becomes blessing instead of burden. As this chapter draws to a close, understand this clearly. God has not been testing your patience for His benefit. He has been training your heart for yours. The patience you learned will keep you steady when emotions rise. The boundaries you developed will protect your peace. The identity you anchored in God will prevent you from losing yourself in love. Nothing about this season was excessive. Nothing was wasted. You are now someone who can wait without resentment, love without fear, and choose without pressure. That is readiness. Not perfection, but readiness. God does not release new seasons when people are flawless. He releases them when people are rooted. You are rooted now. Chosen. 1. Whatever comes next will not erase what you have built here. It will rest upon it. Whether the next chapter brings companionship, expanded purpose, or new responsibility, you will step into it without abandoning yourself. You will recognize it not by excitement alone, but by peace alignment and confirmation in your spirit. Remain faithful to who you have become. Do not rush ahead emotionally. Do not drift backward mentally. Stay present. Stay anchored. The same God who walked with you through solitude will walk with you into union, into purpose, into fulfillment. He has not changed His mind about you. He has been preparing you to receive what He always intended to give. This season did not delay your life. It refined it, and the version of you standing here now is ready for what once felt out of reach. Chosen one. As we arrive at the sacred close of this word, I want you to rest for a moment in what your spirit already knows. This was not just a message you listened to. This was a scroll being opened. This was confirmation meeting remembrance. This was heaven speaking at the exact moment your heart was ready to receive it. Your singleness was never empty space. It was holy ground. And now you are standing at a threshold where preparation meets promise. Hear this clearly, anointed one. Your sealed prophecy is not delayed. It is unfolding. The hidden scroll that has been written over your life since before you were formed is being revealed line by line, not in haste, but in precision. You are not early. You are not late. You are standing in your Kairos moment, the appointed time marked on heaven's clock, where nothing is wasted and nothing arrives prematurely. Every quiet night, every unanswered prayer, every door that closed without explanation was shaping you for this alignment. God was not withholding love. He was preserving destiny. He was guarding your spirit, strengthening your discernment, and anchoring your identity so that when what He ordained arrives, it will not undo you. It will meet you whole. I declare over you now, chosen one, that peace will continue to lead you, that clarity will remain your compass. That discernment will stay sharp, yet gentle. May your heart remain soft toward God and firm toward anything that would pull you out of alignment. May you never confuse urgency with calling, nor attention with assignment. What God has for you will recognize you without struggle. May your waiting be filled with gratitude, not tension. May your obedience be fueled by trust, not fear. And may you walk forward knowing that what is coming will not require you to shrink, compromise, or abandon who you have become. You have been prepared to receive without losing yourself. I bless your future union, whether near or still forming, with peace, purpose, and divine alignment. I bless your calling with endurance and favor. I bless your solitude with continued revelation and your next season with holy confirmation. What is about to manifest will make sense of every step that came before it. Chosen one, remain faithful. Stay aligned. Keep your eyes lifted, not in striving, but in gratitude. The same God who carried you through the hidden season is walking with you into the revealed one. Your story is not on pause. It is advancing exactly as it was written. If this word has resonated in your spirit, you may mark it quietly in your heart or softly in the comments as an act of agreement with what heaven is doing. And if you feel led, stay connected, not for content, but for confirmation, as we continue to discern what God is unfolding in this hour. Go forward now with peace. You are not waiting in vain. You are being released in timing. And when you look back, you will see that every second of this season was wholly intentional and necessary.